My family abandoned my 18-year-old daughter in a do-not-travel country without her passport. That was hilarious, my nephew chuckled. You should have seen her expression, his sister chimed in. I didn't shout, I just started taking steps. By the next morning, resort security was pounding on their door. When they finally came into the lobby, I had to look twice. My parents, my sister Kendra, and her two kids, Max and Savannah, all smiling, chatting, acting like they were just on a normal holiday. But Rose wasn't with them. My daughter, 18. I scanned the area again, thinking maybe she was lagging behind. Maybe she'd stopped to grab a bottle of water or run to the restroom. Something. But no one turned around. No one brought her up. I felt Darius, my husband, shift beside me. He noticed it too. "Where's Rose?" I asked. It came out harsher than I intended. I was aiming for casual, but something inside me had already gone rigid. Dad didn't even slow his pace. "She's probably on the next flight." "The next flight?" I echoed. Mom waved it off. "She lost her passport during the layover. Some confusion at the airport. She's sorting it out." Something clenched in my chest. One of those deep, bodily warnings that something is wrong before your mind even connects the dots. "She lost it during the layover?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "In London?" There was a beat of silence, the kind that makes your stomach lurch. "Not quite," Dad replied. Darius turned toward them. "What does that mean, not quite?" "Oh, well," Mom said with a shrug. "Our original flight got canceled, but your dad found us a much better deal. 2 layovers, and we saved a fortune." The airline didn't even want to tell us about it, but your dad insisted. "They didn't list it online," Dad added proudly. "Sudan was quicker and cheaper. Total win." Darius blinked. "Sudan?" I turned to face them fully. "You rerouted through Sudan?" Dad shrugged again. "There were lots of open seats. Plus, they compensated us for the canceled flight. We came out ahead." "And where exactly did she lose the passport?" I asked, though part of me already knew. "In Sudan," he replied. "You're joking." I scanned each face, hoping to catch the hint of a smirk, anything that would suggest this was just some tasteless prank. "Nothing." "Right?" I repeated. Kendra looked uninterested. Savannah was already absorbed in her phone. Max nudged her and laughed. "You should have seen her when she figured it out," he said. "It was priceless." Savannah laughed. "She flipped out, full panic. I thought she might pass out." "I wish I'd recorded it," Max added. "She looked like one of those prank show victims." I stared at them, not sure what shocked me more, their words or the casual, amused tone behind them. Like they'd watched someone drown and thought it was funny. "You left her?" I said, barely above a whisper. "You actually left her behind?" Mom folded her arms. "We didn't leave her. She lost her passport." "She's 18, Dad said flatly. "She's not a child." Kendra rolled her eyes. "You're blowing this way out of proportion. She said she'd handle it." "So let me get this straight," I said slowly. "My daughter lost her passport in a do-not-travel zone, and you all just left her there, alone." "She's smart," Mom said. "You've always said that." Darius stepped forward now. His voice was calm, but I could see the line in his jaw. "Why didn't you stay with her? One adult, just one of you could have stayed back and missed the flight." Dad looked genuinely confused. "We're already here. What else were we supposed to do?" "You were supposed to not reroute through a high-risk country in the first place," Darius said. "You were supposed to tell us we didn't want drama," Kendra muttered. "And now you've got it," I shot back. I pulled out my phone and started calling straight to voicemail. Darius tried hers too. Nothing. "Maybe her phone died," Mom offered. "We told her to stay near the desk." "Which desk?" I asked. "The one in the airport where you left her." No one answered. "That you're always acting like she can't function without you." Darius let out a quiet breath that somehow sounded louder than a scream. "She's alone in Sudan with no passport, no local contact, no embassy, and you thought she could function her way out of that." Savannah finally looked up. "She said she didn't want to go through Sudan anyway. She said she kept going on and on about how unsafe it was, like it's not safe for women this, and we shouldn't be rerouting that." Max snorted. "She was acting like a baby." "Maybe she should just stay there. She fits in better." I blinked. "What did you just say?" He looked up, grinning unbothered. "I mean, her dad's black. Right? So she fits in more than we do." Darius's arm tensed beside me. Kendra stepped in fast. "He didn't mean it that way. I didn't say anything bad," Max said. "I'm just saying she was freaking out over nothing." I stared at the boy, then at Kendra, then at my parents, and something cracked in me. Not loudly, not like a break, more like a joint, quietly slipping out of socket, painful, but so subtle no one notices at first. I turned back to Darius. "We're fixing this," I said. My voice didn't shake. You nodded once, already pulling up flights on his phone behind me. Mom called after us. You don't have to make a scene. But I wasn't making a scene, not yet. That would come later. I've spent my entire life trying to earn decency from people who only ever offered me conditions growing up. Kendra could have set the house on fire, and my parents would have said, "She's just expressive." Meanwhile, I got grounded once for asking what BGOA meant during dinner. Apparently, I was being smug. You'd think adulthood would even things out. But no, the golden child glow-up carried on right into motherhood. Kendra had Max and Savannah, and suddenly she was the heroic single mom who did her best every time she let them eat candy for dinner, or screamed at a cashier. Mom would just whisper, "Parenting is hard." Meanwhile, when Rose was 4 and cried at a birthday party because she didn't want to hit the piñata, my dad said she was too sensitive. You have to toughen her up. He told me, can't baby her forever. And by the time Rose hit high school, she was winning awards left and right, honor roll. Math club champion, a citywide science grant at 17. And yet every time she accomplished something, someone in the family would redirect. "That's great," Mom said once, "but you don't want to be just academic. You should try a sport too, like basketball. She's 5 and 2 with asthma and coordination issues. But sure, or my personal favorite, being smart is good. But being well-rounded is better this, from the same people who framed Max's first macaroni craft like it was a gallery piece. They always said she was so mature for her age, but it came with an asterisk. It meant she was expected to put up with everything. Laugh off. Backhanded compliments, absorb comments about her hair being distracting, or her voice being too sharp. Darius, my husband Rose's father used to say, we were imagining things that maybe it wasn't racism, just generational blindness that we couldn't prove intent. And I clung to that for years because the alternative hurt too much. But looking back now, who was there, who was always there, I thought. If we were generous enough, gracious enough, they'd see who Rose really was, that maybe they'd love her for it. That's why I paid for this whole vacation, the hotel, the meals, the excursions, even the flights. It was my idea, a way to celebrate the business milestone Darius and I had reached, and maybe stupidly a way to bring everyone closer. I should have known better after Rose didn't arrive at the resort. I asked them to search their bags just to be safe, I said. Maybe her passport slipped into someone else's backpack during security, or got stuck behind a tray table and ended up with one of them by accident. Kendra rolled her eyes. You think we hid it? No, I said carefully. But I think if there's even a small chance it got packed by mistake, it's worth looking. They resisted at first, acting insulted, defensive. Dad said something like, "We're not the enemy here." But when I kept pressing, things started to get strange. Max, Kendra's 11-year-old, suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. Savannah looked like she was holding back a laugh. Then Kendra said, "It was already too late. What were we supposed to do?" I turned to her. "What?" She froze. I didn't mean..." Dad jumped in. "The point is, it's not like we planned for any of this." Darius stepped forward. "What exactly do you mean by too late?" No one replied, so I said it aloud. "You found her passport." The silence was deafening. My pulse thudded in my ears. "You found it after she couldn't board." Still no one spoke. Savannah leaned back on the couch like she was settling in to watch a show. Max suddenly looked like he wished he could vanish. It was Max who broke first. "I just hid it as a joke," he muttered. She was being annoying, kept saying Sudan was dangerous and we were going to get kidnapped. I figured she needed to chill out. My mouth went dry. "She told you it wasn't safe?" "Yeah," he nodded. "She kept looking stuff up and warning us. It was getting on our nerves, like, okay, we get it. It's not Disneyland." I turned to my parents. "And you all knew this?" Mom waved her hand dismissively. "We thought she was being dramatic, like always." "She's not dramatic," Darius said, voice low and tight. "She's cautious. She's smart. She's 18, and you left her in Khartoum without a passport, and you're calling her dramatic?" "She could have gone to the embassy," Dad said flatly. "There is no U.S. embassy in Sudan," I snapped. "She probably figured that out after you all left her." Kendra actually rolled her eyes. "She's legally an adult. What were we supposed to do? Cancel the whole trip because she was being difficult?" Darius blinked at her. Yes, I echoed. "That's exactly what you were supposed to do." Silence again. Then Max added, as if helping, "You should have seen her face when she realized. It was hilarious." Savannah nodded. She looked like she was about to cry. Darius stepped between me and the others, like he thought he needed to physically hold me back. My nails were digging into my palms. Every part of me was screaming to throw something. My words, a lamp, the entire damn couch. But I didn't scream. I just said very quietly, "She's not dramatic. You're just cruel." Then I walked out of the room, because if I stayed, I was going to destroy something. They think this is done, that she'll be fine, that we'll all just move on, like it was some unfortunate mix-up. But it wasn't. It was intentional. It was mean, and they're going to regret it. The moment we confirmed Rose's passport was in Kendra's bag, I stopped listening. Not because I wasn't shocked, I was, but because I was already in motion. Darius was still staring at the bag like it had grown horns. "They found it before boarding," he said, voice quiet. "They knew. They knew she didn't have it, and they left her anyway." I didn't say a word. I just turned and marched straight back to the hotel suite, opened my laptop, logged onto the airline's site, started scanning for flights to Khartoum. There was one, it left in 5 hours. Was it dangerous? Absolutely. But not as dangerous as leaving our daughter overnight in a do-not-travel zone with no ID, no adult, no U.S. embassy, and until now, no way to reach us. Darius leaned over my shoulder. "You stay, I'll go," he said, already pulling out his wallet. I didn't argue. He was right. Sudan was not a safe place for a young black woman alone, but it also wasn't a great place for me either, especially not if we needed someone to coordinate the fallout here. We booked it. One one-way flight for him, 2 return tickets for the following morning. One for him, one for Rose. The clock was ticking. He needed to leave soon to get through check-in, and we still hadn't heard from her. I had tried her phone dozens of times. Signal unavailable, no voicemail, just silence. I tried again and again. I don't know why I kept thinking it would suddenly connect, but on the 9th try. This time, while refreshing the airline confirmation page, I heard it ring. Then another. Then, "Mom, I nearly dropped the phone." Rose, "Oh my God, Rose, are you okay?" A shaky breath on the other end. "I've been trying to call." Nothing was working. "The Wi-Fi's garbage, my SIM won't connect. I couldn't get anything to load." I thought something was wrong with my phone. No, everything's fine." "Now we found your passport," I said quickly. "I'll explain later. The important thing is Dad's coming to you tonight. He's flying out in a few hours. He's bringing it." There was silence. Then quietly, "You found it." I closed my eyes. "Yeah." "In Kendra's bag." Another silence, and then a sound. I'll never forget a small, broken exhale that sounded like disbelief and grief had collided in her throat. "It wasn't lost," then she said. "I knew it. I told them I had it. I told them not to reroute through Sudan. I told them this would happen. I know." I said, "I believe you." She didn't cry, not really, but her voice cracked when she added, "They said I was being dramatic, that I watched too much TikTok that airport's airport. But the staff didn't even want us there. It wasn't even on the rebooking list. At first, Grandpa made a scene, and then suddenly it was an option." "Of course he did," I muttered. I tried to tell them it wasn't safe, but they laughed. And then Max said I was freaking everyone out and should go cool off. Then I couldn't find my passport. I leaned against the desk, gripping the edge until my knuckles turned white. "You're in the airport now, though." "Yeah, still in the terminal." They almost forced me to leave earlier. I pretended I was waiting for someone, found a food stall, and sat down. I haven't moved. It's loud and gross and weird. Some guy asked if I was married. My stomach twisted, and another one offered to help me fix it if I owed him a favor. That was it. I pulled the laptop closer, opened the hotel reservation portal. Darius was already packing. I could hear the zipper on his suitcase, and I was done waiting. "Dad's on his way, Rose. Just hang in there. He'll be at the airport tomorrow morning." "You'll see him. Just stay put. Don't show you're alone. Don't talk to anyone else. You've done everything right." There was a pause. "Can you tell him to hurry?" I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "He's already moving," after I hung up. I sat still for a few seconds, just listening to the hum of the mini fridge and the low buzz in my ears, from sheer rage, and then I opened the hotel group reservation page and started clicking. First our suite still booked, then Kendra's suite, my parents' rooms, the family block. I generously reserved at full cost because I thought this vacation would be good for us, cancel them all. Every last one, they could figure it out. Surely there'd be a clever reroute for that too. Darius emerged from the bathroom, shaving kit in hand. Did she sound okay? She's holding it together. But she's scared. Of course she is, he said. Then he looked at my screen. What are you doing? I didn't look up, taking back my generosity. He smiled tightly. Need help? I shook my head. Nope, I've got it. By the time he zipped his bag and kissed my forehead goodbye, I had also opened the return flight portal. Let's see how resourceful they really were. Because if they could leave my daughter in Khartoum, they could absolutely figure out how to get home from Cree on their own dime, preferably with 3 layovers in economy with no legroom and no snacks. And if that seems petty to you, well, imagine your 18-year-old daughter alone in a dangerous foreign country, begging strangers for Wi-Fi while her cousins laugh about how funny it was to watch her panic. Then talk to me about petty because we weren't even close yet. They were due back that evening. Darius and Rose. My heart had been ticking in double time ever since he boarded that plane. I spent the night tracking their flight, refreshing the screen so often my thumbs still ached. I didn't sleep. I didn't even sit down by morning. I was running on caffeine and cold fury, and that's when I heard it knocking. Not just any knocking, the kind that echoes. Through tiled hotel hallways. Angry, refusing to be ignored. It was coming from 2 doors down. My family's rooms, I stepped into the hallway just in time to hear someone shout, "You can't do this, we have children." A calm voice replied, "Sir, your booking was canceled. Checkout time has passed. If you do not leave voluntarily, we will be forced to call local authorities." Another bang. Then a child crying. Then my mother, her voice brittle and self-righteous, snapping something about this ridiculous overreaction. I went back into my room and shut the door, not to block it out, just to stop myself from laughing. They had tried to spin the story the night before, my dad pounding on my door like I owed him something. My sister, fuming my mom with her best, "This isn't how we raised you" face. But they were already gone in my head the moment they left. My daughter's stranded passport hidden in one of their bags, like a joke. That was it. That wasn't family. That was sabotage. The night before, they came stomping up like toddlers in matching temper tantrums. My mom knocked hard enough to rattle the lock. I opened the door an inch, then another, then all the way so I could see them fully when I said no. "You kenneled the rooms," my mom hissed, without telling us thought. I'd let the front desk break the news. Kendra folded her arms. "That's cruel, even for you, cruel," I blinked. Cruel is rerouting my daughter through Sudan and abandoning her in the transit zone when she couldn't board. She lost her passport, my dad snapped. "She didn't lose it," I said flatly. "Max took it, you found it, and you said nothing. So no, I'm not paying for your vacation. You're punishing all of us. You punished yourselves," I said. All I did was stop funding it. My mom stepped forward like she was going to scold me like I was still 15. I didn't move. I didn't flinch. "We have kids with us," she said. Savannah's crying. "Max is scared. Are you really going to make us move hotels or pay for your own rooms? I'm not stopping you." Kendra's face twisted. So that's it. One mistake, and we're cut off. One mistake. I almost laughed. You rerouted my daughter through a high-risk country to save a couple $100, then you hid the fact that your son took her passport, then you abandoned her, then you made fun of her. So yeah, that's it. They stood there stunned, like they expected me to fold. Instead, I said, "This conversation is over." I shut the door and returned to the quiet of the morning. Through the thin walls, I could still hear raised voices. The manager arguing about policy, my dad shouting louder, clearly trying to take control of the situation. I caught the word lawsuit and had to stifle a laugh. Eventually, the noise faded. Later that afternoon, I checked the hotel group chat. A new message from Savannah popped up. "This place is disgusting. No AC. The beach is like 2 hours away. Can we please come back?" I muted the chat. Naturally, they tried to spin the story to the rest of the family too. Messages started dripping in. "Your mom said it was a misunderstanding. What happened? Is Rose okay?" I replied to each one with the exact same message. They rerouted Rose through Sudan to save money. Max hid her passport. She got stuck. They left her behind. No sugarcoating, no added commentary, just the plain truth. Most of the responses were silence. One aunt wrote, "Oh," and never followed up. I guess it hits different when you say the story out loud. Darius and Rose returned around 8:00 that evening. I met them in the lobby. She looked older. Same features, same hair, but something about her had changed. I wrapped her in a long hug. "Do we have to go anywhere else?" she whispered. "No," I told her. "We're not going anywhere." We extended our stay for another week, just the three of us. We ate fresh seafood by the ocean. We swam in crystal clear water. Rose slept in and spent her afternoons reading in the sun. Darius would rub my shoulders anytime I flinched at a new message alert. I didn't reply to a single one. When we got home, I cut off all financial support. No big announcement, no dramatic message, I just stopped. They reached out a few times. Calls, guilt-tripping, passive-aggressive texts. I ignored them all. When tax season came around and my mom asked if we were still paying for the insurance, I responded simply, "No, we're not." Silence. I confessed to Darius that I still felt guilty. He said, "You know what guilt really is? It's the echo of boundaries that should have been set a long time ago." And he was right. I don't know what bothered them more, that I finally stood up for myself, or that I never had to raise my voice to do it. But here's the truth. I didn't need to scream. I just made decisions, took action. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel like the black sheep. I feel free. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe canceling their hotel and flights was a little petty. Or maybe it was the only way they'd ever understand a sliver of what Rose endured. What do you think? Was I justified in pulling the plug on their trip? Or did I take it too far? Let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear your perspective. And if you want more stories like this, go ahead and hit subscribe and tap the bell.